So guys, if you want to build a very big startup, a very scalable startup, a startup that is very highly valued by the investors and that is going to be successful, then you should watch this video till the end. Or we are going to discuss one important parameter. This can be a magic potion if you want to build a big business, and that is called TAM, total addressable market. We have heard TAM, SAM, SOM, that is a market research concept, and I have made video on that as well. But understanding on how to define your TAM, on how to calculate your TAM, and what is the importance of TAM, we are going to see this in this video. And I'm also going to explain you this concept along with some great interesting examples. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur or an entrepreneur who wants to create a business that is very much highly valued by the investors, you get great valuations, you are able to create a great scalable business, or you are able to select a very high potential idea out of multiple ideas that you may have, then this video is for you, right? We all face the problem of having multiple ideas, but you should always select that idea that has the biggest potential, that has the biggest scope for growth if you want to build a long-term, sustainable, high valuable business, right? So if you're interested in learning more about this concept, then do watch this video till the end. Total addressable market, TAM. And also, if you're new to this channel, then do subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to receive the latest notifications of my videos on time. So hey guys, my name is Siddhant and welcome back to a new video. Today we are going to discuss a very important concept, that is total addressable market, TAM. We all must have heard about this in a very famous market research framework, that is TAM, SAM and SOM, that is total addressable market, serviceable addressable market and serviceable obtainable market. But today we are going to discuss just about TAM, that is total addressable market, because it is very important. It is the core concept that each and every entrepreneur should know while selecting an idea for building a big startup. And trust me when I say this, that this concept can make or break your idea. It can definitely predict the success or the rate of growth of your startup, right? Because if you are entering into a business that has a very small market size, even if you capture the majority of the market, the business will eventually still remain small. But if you are entering into a business or an industry that is $1 trillion industry, right? Even if you capture about 0.1% or 0.01% of that industry, it can still become $1 billion business. Therefore, understanding the TAM is very important. So now let's start by understanding what is TAM. So TAM is total addressable market. It is nothing but a tool or a concept that helps you determine the total market available for your business or for your product or your service, right? So this can be in terms of revenue, or this can be in terms of the total population of the customers out there, right? You can calculate the revenue by multiplying the customers by your average ticket size or by your price of the product, right? So this is a very interesting concept that you need to know, and this is actually used in most of the cases to determine the future scope of the idea, that what is the maximum height that you can reach, what is the maximum scale of the business that you can reach in terms of revenue or in terms of number of customers. However, there are also few other advantages, right, of using TAM, and the first is that is it actually gives you the focus on the future roadmap of the business, and also helps you to predict the evolution of your business or product or service. That is very important. The next advantage is that it also provides you a way of assessing whether you have a product market fit or not. It is very important to have a PMF. If you don't have a product market fit, then the product adoption will not be there. Your business idea or your product or service will eventually fail into the market. Now, the next big advantage is that it attracts investors and it makes them invest in your business at very attractive valuations, right? Because it shows them that you have done a study, an accurate study, an accurate in-depth market research before proposing to them the valuation of your business or before seeking money from them, right? And the final advantage that it can provide you is it can also help you identify who your potential competitors are, because once you identify your potential market, your potential customers, you can find out who are the already existing companies who are serving to the customers, right, who are already present in that market, and therefore you can also identify who are your potential competitors in that market. And definitely, as I've said, that knowing your TAM will help you seek a better, bigger valuation from your investors, right? Because big TAM means bigger opportunity, that means big scale, large scale, that means larger base of customers, that means larger network, and that means larger revenues for your business, right? So what you tell to the investor is that I have this product and that solves this big problem, and therefore I demand you this valuation, right? You can command the valuation for your business. Now that we have seen what is TAM, what are the advantages of TAM, now the very important question here is how to calculate your TAM. Now calculating TAM, identifying the TAM is very important, and that is why I've always stressed on the importance of doing an in-depth market research. I've made many videos on doing market research. You can watch all of those videos after this video. You can go back to my channel and you can also find the links in the description box below, right? So speaking about how to calculate a TAM, now if you're not a business student, now let me tell you that theoretically there are three ways to calculate a TAM. The first is top-down method, the second is bottom-up method, and the third is value theory method. Now these three are the theoretical methods that you can implement practically to find out your TAM, right? But today what I'm going to tell you is that apart from these three methods, I'll also explain my own method, my own way of researching and figuring out what the TAM is for the idea, right? So this is going to be very interesting. Now speaking of the top-down method, now top-down method is very simple, right? You just need to pick up, or you just need to assume a larger chunk of population that fits your product, right? That is in the zone of your product or in your industry. And then you need to go through the process of elimination based upon the specifics, based upon the assumptions, based upon the facts and figures, the data that you go on collecting while you're researching, right? And finally, what we'll attain is the specific niche of your customer segment, and that is what we want, right? Now the second method is bottom-up approach, where you do exactly the different thing. Here you already select a specific niche, that is a specific certain customer segment that you feel that fits the product, right? And then based upon the assumptions, you go to the bigger and bigger and bigger sets of customers, right? And then from a subset you figure out the whole set of customers, right? And this is the bottom-up approach. And the third is value theory approach. Now value theory approach actually relies upon the estimate of the value you provide to the customers and also the pricing of the product. Now the value that you provide to the customers and the pricing of the product will eventually help you to determine the TAM, and it will also help you to estimate that how much of the total value or how much of the total revenues can be generated by the company, right? So this is nothing but the value theory method. But all these are theoretical methods. What I have learned, what I have been doing for my own businesses is that I have my own method, which is a mix of all of these methods. You need to take all of these methods into consideration and you need to figure out your own method, right? So the method that I use is, the first is that you first need to have the clarity of services or products that you are going to provide. This is a very important thing. As an entrepreneur, you should always have that clarity of what are the services that you are going to provide, and also what are the services or products that you are never going to provide to the customers. There's a very thin line, and every entrepreneur gets stuck while expanding his business. He actually goes into a lot of different categories and expands his business in the wrong direction, right? You need to first have that clarity in your mind that what is your business and where are you going to take this business, and based upon that you need to figure out your core products and services, right? Now for better clarity, let's take an example, and this example is of a company called Sneakair. We all have seen this company come in the Shark Tank India, the special episode, right? Now Sneakair is a company that provides you the products for taking care of your sneakers. Now there was a great question asked by the founder of Shaadi.com, that is Anupam Mittal. He asked the entrepreneur one great question, that are you planning to go into the sneaker business in the future? Right? Because this is very important thing, because the entrepreneur was actually giving the sharks the figures for the entire sneaker industry. But here you need to understand that for Sneakair, the TAM is not the entire sneaker industry. The TAM is the people who are not just willing to buy sneakers, but who are willing to invest in taking care of them. Now this is the major difference that you need to know. Now for Sneakair, the sneaker industry is not the TAM, but the sneaker care industry is that TAM, and this is what you have to figure out in your business. So if Sneakair thinks of venturing into the sneaker business, then the sneaker industry is going to be the TAM. But if it only wants to create the caring products or the cleaning products for the sneakers, then it is going to have a very smaller TAM, but that is going to be very specific, and that is going to be the TAM for its business, right? Now the second step that I do is that after I figured my business, my products and services, then I start with an in-depth market research. You need to get all the facts and figures and reports, all of these you need to get it right? You need to have an idea of the market size, what is the annual growth of that industry, what are the sister industries, what are the neighboring industries that you can venture into in the future for expanding, right? So for example, sneaker, now not only caring for sneakers, but for maybe formal shoes, for canvas shoes, for sports shoes, and all of those things, right? So you need to also identify the sister industries in which you can expand in the future, and for this you need to do an in-depth market research. Now also what you need to find out during this phase is that you need to also find out the average or an approximate estimate ticket size to price your products, right? Because pricing the product is eventually what is going to help you to estimate your TAM. So you should also get an idea that what should be the price of the products, right? And this is going to make sense in the next point, and that is third point: look for your competitors. Now competitor pricing is going to help you if you have competitors in your industry, then go and research your competitors. I have made a great video on how to research your competitors. You can go and watch that video as well. You need to have an in-depth research about your competitors as well to gain a competitive advantage. The third point is look into your competitors. What are they doing, not only nationally but also globally? Are they raising funds? At what valuation? What is the market size? Are they having enough funding? Are they having enough funding interests from the investors? Because that is something that will help you to identify whether the market is hot, whether the market is trending or not, right? The fourth and the last point is, now you have your products, the clarity of your products and services, you have the facts and figures for your industry, you also have the competitors facts and figures, you have your pricing, you have each and everything, right? So the fourth point is, now you need to go through that elimination process, that is that what we saw in the top bottom process. Right now you need to go through the elimination process, and then you need to figure out your niche, your target customer segment. You need to find out their specific demographics, their specific characteristics, economical characteristics, social characteristics, demographical characteristics, geographical characteristics, and that will help you to define your TAM. Now once you have your population, that is going to the population of the customers, you can multiply it by average ticket size of your products, and that will give you the TAM in terms of revenue for your business. That is the maximum revenue that you can gain as per your research, right? So now if I have 100 million customers, right? So if I'm in a very big business, and if I have 100 million customer TAM, and if I multiply it by maybe $5 is my average ticket size, the product price. So if I multiply 5 by 100 million, so $500 million is my TAM, right? So $500 million is your TAM in ideal situation. But then you have Sam and Som to have a more specific, more realistic targets, right? Now let's take an example of TAM. Now you have two types of businesses. The one is where you target the classes, the one is where you target the masses, and it is very important to note the differentiation. You can go back and you can watch the last video that I've made on India versus Bharat. That will help you understand scale versus quality, the quantity versus quality game, right? Now the first example for today is Cred. Cred is a credit card bills payment company startup that was founded by Kunal Shah, right? And Kunal Shah is a second-time entrepreneur. He previously had a startup named Freecharge, which he sold for 400 million. So a lot of credibility in the name of Kunal Shah. Now here, Cred is a company that is targeting just to the classes of India, that is catering to just 0.5% or the top 1% of the country, right? Now if we see, then the total credit card holders in India is just 62 million out of the 1.4 billion people. So it is just 6.2 crore people out of the 140 crore people. Now this is a very tricky segment if you are trying to build a business. However, having said that, the top 1% controls about 25% of the total country's wealth. So you're not going to have a problem in building a revenue model or building a very profitable business out of it, because the customers have the paying capacity. But it is a very tricky segment to enter, and I feel that if you want to create something like Cred, you're also going to have to raise a lot of funds, a lot of money, like Cred is burning a lot of cash, right? But to raise that much of money, you need to have a high credibility like Kunal Shah does. So if you're a new entrepreneur, if you're a first-time entrepreneur, then I won't suggest you to go into that segment, the top 1% segment, because it is very tricky, because the scale is not that large. There's definitely a high valuable network that Cred is building, right? But as a new entrepreneur, you won't be able to raise that much amounts of funds to afford a high cash burn. So that's where you can adopt the second way of building business, and that is a great example we can take is of Oyo. Now, Oyo is a business that is built on a foundation that has customer base of masses, right? Now, Oyo provides budget hotels to the people, right? And therefore, what we can see is that in India, 600 million people belong to the middle class household, 700 to 800 people belong to the lower middle class poor households, and therefore we can see that 1.3 billion people, 1.35 billion people are its potential customers. So there's a huge TAM, because the hospitality industry is very large. It is a $1 trillion industry in itself, and therefore when you're building a business like Oyo, it becomes very easy for you as a first-time entrepreneur to convince the investors about the scale, about the future of the company, about the scope of growth, about the revenue that you are going to achieve in the future years, right? So guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you have understood the importance of calculating the total addressable market. How are you supposed to calculate the TAM, and why is it important to calculate the TAM at the beginning of your journey as an entrepreneur, right? Also, I've made several videos on startups, business frameworks, case studies, entrepreneurship on my channel, so you can go back and you can check those videos as well. And if you're new to this channel, then do like the video, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to receive the latest notifications of my videos on time. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Thank you.